Good morning, Buffs fans. Welcome to Alpine Garage Sports. I am Chris. I am your host for this show, and I just want to appreciate all of you for being here during this season, this epic season. Last year was an epic season as well, for I think for different reasons, but both of these last two seasons have been a little, uh, I don't know, a little crazy, and at the same time, like the most fun that I think I've ever had in college football in my entire life and it's not stopping. We finally got CU to I say we Coach Prime and the team got CU into a position where we control our own destiny from the standpoint of being in the Big 12 championship and getting a playoff bid. I mean, that isn't that the craziest thing ever? Is we absolutely 100% control our own destiny when it comes to getting into a playoff spot. Maybe even a playoff spot that is, you know, maybe even a playoff spot that is in the top four and we get a bye. I mean, this is just the most incredible year. And it's been like, we start out, it wasn't strong all year. We started out, we sputtered a little bit. Then we just picked up steam and we're just steamrolling right now. And the every game isn't the cleanest game, but at the same time, we figure out using our team, using the strength of our defense and the strengths of our offense in order to pull out wins and doing it convincingly at the end of the game, really. So at this point, we're just kind of pulling everything together. This is the second year of a rebuild at CU. And most teams are normally like this. We're trying to find a path, but almost no team is as good as we are at taking the best of what we've got and making things work to get a win. And this game against Utah, we talked about last week, we talked about Texas Tech being the toughest game that we are going to have in the 4-game stretch at the end. That said, I still think that's true. And I've said this like every single game for the last like 6 games is this is the most important game. No, this is the most important game. I don't think, obviously, you could say this is the most important game because if we win this game, we continue our Cinderella or what do you want to call it season to get into the Big 12 championship. But it's not the hardest game. In fact, looking at this game, I called this a revenge game in the thumbnail because this is a revenge game. Last year we went to Utah and we lost. We didn't have our starter in Shedeur Sanders. They didn't have their starter. Cam Rising was out. So it was just going to be a battle of the backups. And I honestly, going into that game, thought that Utah had probably a better overall defense than we did, which turned out to be true, but that we had the better offense. And we went into the game and we battled it out. 17-23 last year. We lost by 6 points. And we didn't lose it in the air. We lost it on the ground, meaning that, what is his name? Luke Batari for Utah last year. I think he threw for less than 100 yards, but they ran for like 200 and something yards that day. And our defense last year was not as obviously as solid in the run as it is this year. And that was the difference maker for us. I mean, Ryan Staub had a great game in that game. He came in and he showed up. And I remember specifically talking about how well he did coming in and backing up Shedeur. We didn't lose it there. We definitely didn't lose it there. And given a little bit more time, we probably would have won that game. So now it's time for revenge. And oddly enough, Utah is in the same exact position that it was last year at this time when they're basically running backups. Obviously, Cam Rising has been out, and they had what is his name? Isaac Wilson, who is Zach Wilson from the NFL's brother, is coming to town, and he is likely going to be the starter for Utah, at least as far as I can see right now. He's been playing probably most of the year, I would say, since Cam's gone out. But he had an injury in late October, and Brandon came in and played for Brandon Rose came in and played for Utah, and he did a pretty good job last week. Almost beating BYU, but now he's out. So it looks like Isaac Wilson is back in the fold, and We'll go through that here in a minute, but that's not a very scary scenario, right? But I digress a little bit into the game. So this is the revenge game, and even better than that, Big Noon Kickoff is back in Boulder again. I had such a great time last year. Every single time Fox Big Noon Kickoff came to town, and that sounds funny because when I say every single time, they were there like 3, 4 times last year. It was really amazing, and I'm going to be there early this year as well. So I'll be there for breaking the line and stuff like that for the students to get into the tailgate and get their position up front so they can be seen on Big Noon Kickoff. So we're going to cover that live, and then also be there for the Buff Walk and all the normal things that I'm there for. I'll be spending all morning there, and it's going to be a great day. That said, kickoff being 10 a.m., that we are going to know our destiny by 1 o'clock that afternoon, and it's going to be awesome to be able to spend the rest of the day in Boulder and know that yet we are one step closer to clinching a Big 12 championship. So that said, let's break down this game just a little bit. I've already told you I am not worried about this game. I am worried less about this game than I have been any game this season. And I don't want a lack of confidence to be like an Achilles heel or anything. But looking at this, I was a little worried about Utah going into this game like 2 weeks ago, knowing that Cam Rising was out, but Utah is still Utah and Whittingham is still Whittingham. But looking at it now, with all the turmoil with the injuries and stuff like that, they also lost their stud tight end, and Utah is a big tight end school. So losing that is going to be a big issue for them this year or this game. And on top of that, not having their their starting quarterback and the quarterback that almost won against BYU last week, I think is another thing that we can kind of rest our head on and say, okay, I think we got the offense. Our defense is dialed in right now. We can stop this Utah offense. We can stop it. We can stop it. TK says we need Merritt, Boateng, and Carroll ASAP. Yes. There are a lot of really cool things going on at CU right now. Isaac Wilson will overthrow and land it in Prime's office. Dennis, I was thinking that exact same thing. I think this is what I was thinking. If Isaac plays and they allow Isaac to throw the ball a lot, which may be the case, if Utah goes down in this game early, they're going to have to air it out. Our defense, looking at last week and what we did as a defense, especially in the fourth quarter last week, we are going to absolutely decimate them on turnovers. It's going to be so much fun to watch. So let's hope that happens. Let's hope they get down in the first quarter, maybe midway through the second quarter, Utah does, and has to start throwing it. And then we're going to be statting this thing up. We're going to be statting it up one way and the other. But this is kind of how it breaks down for me. So obviously we have Isaac Wilson in there for Utah, and he's not very accurate. I think he's like 50. I think I saw 55.4% of his passes. He had a 55.4% completion rating, and I want to say he's way down there as a QB, 113th in the country. Maybe that was Utah's passing game is 113th in the country. I'm going to get to that here in a second. The one thing we do need to take into account really for Utah is the fact that last year they won it on the ground. For us, they won it on the ground. This year they're going to have to win it on the ground. I don't see them passing against our secondary very easily, especially with as, I guess, poor a play as the quarterback has had this year. All the quarterbacks have had, because we're talking about Isaac at 55.4%, but he's the highest rated quarterback in completion percentage of all of the quarterbacks this year for Utah, and that includes Cam Rising. So he is their quote unquote best quarterback from that standpoint. And I just don't think they're going to have to do it there. They're going to have to do it in the run, which is Micah Bernard, 860 yards, and that's 5.9 yards per carry. So he's a good running back. And not only is he a good running back, because I think of those 800, I read somewhere that it was like 620 yards after contact is what he's pulling. And then on top of that, their offensive line is actually very good. Specifically, parts of their offensive line, which really kind of control the run game. So It'll be interesting to see with as good as our defense is right now against the run. And I pulled us, we are number 73 against the rush. But like I said last week, a lot of that number 73 was stats from earlier in the year that we cannot control at this point. Those games are gone. We can't do anything about it. The last few games that we've played as a defense, we've really been pretty solid against the run. And I don't see that stopping for Utah. I don't think that Micah is as good as a lot of the running backs that we've seen this year. And so I think that we can slow him down. And if we can do that, they're going to be punting the ball more. We're going to get the ball more. And that's what we want to do, because at this point, they're trying to win the games with time of possession, which is what we've talked about in the past. Time of possession is a real big deal. It's a real fundamental way in football to win a game, is to take the ball away from Shedeur by running the ball on their side and just eating clock. But I think our defense is going to be good at shutting that down. And the receivers really, I mean, one of their good receivers, I think his name is Money, is out. And their tight end, Brant Kuth, is out as well. So two of their big shining stars on offense are out as well. So they're going to be relying even more on the run. Now, here is some interesting stats. Isaac Wilson, 8 TDs versus 8 interceptions, 113th in QBR. That's what I was thinking of. He's 113th in the country in QB rating and 55.4% completion. The Utes have a 5-game losing streak. So, and they're coming to Boulder on a 5-game losing streak. They're coming up. They play at altitude too. So the altitude isn't going to be a factor. The weather's going to be nice. It's going to be during the day, it's going to be in the low 50s. So in the morning, they'll probably kick off at about maybe 47, 48 degrees. So it's going to be a nice day, nice and sunny. And, but you know, coming in a 5-game losing streak is, I mean, that's pretty tough. You've lost and you've lost and you've lost. And then you played a really good game last week against BYU where you almost won it. So there's like an uptick, like, okay, so we almost beat BYU. Let's take the issues that we had from that game and let's cancel out the negatives, figure out how we're going to fix that, and then go to this game and maybe we can notch Colorado. But then the quarterback that got them that almost win is gone. So it's like, oh man, if you're Utah, you got to be clutching your chest and saying, good night. We're going to have to win this thing on defense. Which is exactly what they're going to have to do. Their defense is one of the key stats that I pulled up. Their defense is number 1 in third down conversion, meaning that they hold defenses to a 23.8% third down completion percentage. That means that their opponents have only been able to convert 1 out of every 4 third down conversions. That is an insane stat. I mean, that's a pretty good defense when you're talking about holding offenses to a 1 of 4 conversion, right? So we're going to have to figure that out. We're going to have to figure out how we're going to get past that particular part of the defense. And then their number 19 defense in the red zone, meaning stopping teams in the red zone as well. We are actually pretty good about striking from outside the red zone, actually, because Shedeur is so accurate with his passing, and we have such great receivers that may not be an issue for a stat for us. But we do know that Utah likes to pass rush. I mean, that was the same last year. They're just a pass rushing team, and with Shedeur having so many weapons to get rid of the ball, if Shedeur can find a way to get rid of that ball within 2 to 3 seconds to one of our receivers in the short game, I think we just bypass that altogether, because they don't have very many sacks. So teams have been really good about going up against Utah. They've been really good about trying to figure out how to get around that, all the pass rushing that they do. And we can too, because our defensive coordinator is like a freaking genius now, right? So we're going to figure out how to get away. I'm just really not that worried about their defense. It's a good defense, but I think we've seen much better defense. Hey, Jennifer, how you doing? Utah refs took 2 Ds from Travis last year. We need them back. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I remember that. It was crazy last year. We should have won that game. And so this is definitely a revenge game. Like if we can beat Utah at home, even without Cam Rising, And that helps us more solidify the fact we're in the Big 12. Man, it's going to be Boulder's going to be such a fun place tomorrow. I mean, from beginning to end all day long, it's just going to be a great place. Hey, Polo, how you doing? I'm glad you can make it. Now, let's look at us. Shedeur Sanders is leading the number 8 passing offense in the country. That's Colorado, guys. Number 8 passing offense in the country. That is a really great stat when you're talking about the fact that, in my last video, we talked about, I'm getting to the point now in the last couple of years where I'm like, golly, every single time we win, it's like, let's figure out what we need to do if we're going to be playing better teams than we're playing right now so that we can win out. I mean, if let's just say insanity ensues, right? And we win a national title. Yes, I'm going to go there on this show. I'm going to go there right now. If we can win a national title this year, okay, and that's a long way off, but looking at our team, if we can put a couple of things together, I would never say that we couldn't do it, right? Especially looking at the top teams this year, they're just rolling over. I mean, Georgia, look at Georgia. They basically almost rolled themselves completely out of the playoff picture. The whole season is just upside down. And who plays best against that is Coach Prime. Coach Prime can take that topsy-turvy NCAA right now, and we could actually sneak a run right in there to the title game. And if we can win a title, Coach Prime, this will write a story that will probably never be trumped because you have all of the lights and all of the glitz and glamour of Colorado over the past 2 seasons, combined with all of the negativity and the haters and the people who say that he doesn't belong in a P5 school and that, Colorado is just trying to be a show, and that national TV is following that show. And he's going to spike the ball in front of the entire nation and say, guys, I didn't posture at all. This is exactly what the goal was. Okay. The goal is to be the best team that we can be. It just turns out that we are the best team of college football, and it only took us 2 seasons. And we did it. We did it with basically 2 whole roster flips. And we also turned over a lot of coaches. I mean, basically our high level coaches from last year outside of Coach Prime are gone, and we have new ones, right? And they came with questions. Both of them did. The OC and the DC both came with questions, So this could be a Cinderella year. I digress. Back to the number 8 passing offense. This tells me, number 8 passing offense tells me that we can win a national title. Just off of Shedeur and our offense alone, I think we can win one. Now, let's get to the ever-dreaded conversation, which is the run. So, is establishing the run in this game important? Like if we rush for 38 yards again. Last year, by the way, we rushed for 33 yards against Utah, which is, one of the reasons why I think we lost that game as well, is because we just couldn't establish a run game. We couldn't control the clock. We couldn't take the heat off of Staub. So are we going to produce a run this week? And is it important for us to do so? And I've been pondering that since Monday, because if you watch this channel, I'm not a non-pass guy, but I do think that establishing the run and controlling the clock is the most fundamental key thing in a healthy football team. So, but then anomalies come along like Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, and it changes my thinking a little bit. But I still think I'm at the point where I think we still need to see if we can't get a 100-yard rusher this year out of Isaiah specifically, because he seems to be the guy that has really shown up 100% in every game. Okay. Not that Dallin isn't that guy, because I still think Dallin is probably the overall best running back we have, but things just haven't worked out for him this year. And this may be the game. Maybe Dallin jumps up and he just grabs those reins again and starts taking it. But we know Isaiah has the meat and the stamina, and he's a super intelligent runner. And our offensive line is doing so good in the blocking perspective for the rush. So I should say so much better than last year, that there is no reason why we couldn't get a 100-yard rusher in this game, or maybe against Kansas or it may come in Oklahoma State, guys. Like Oklahoma State is got, I think that, we're talking Swiss cheese at this point. And I think that we could absolutely run all over, and which would be great because at that point, maybe we want to rest Shador a little bit. We don't want to get him in hawk and take the chance on him getting hurt. So we just run the ball a lot, and we end up with a 100-yard rushing game in Oklahoma State. I'm calling it right now. That's our 100-yard rushing game, 100-yard rusher game. Sorry, 100-yard rusher. We're going to have a 100-yard rusher, and it's probably going to be Isaiah, and it's going to be in Oklahoma State, and it's going to be with a broom handle in the closet, right? So it's going to be, I think that's going to be the game. I don't think Utah is going to be the game where we're going to have a 100-yard rusher. I think Shador is going to come out hot. We're going to pass the ball against a probably pretty terrible Utah secondary, and we're going to rack up some points. And is he going to come off the field at that point? Don't know. I don't want him to get hurt, but at the same time, Travis, let me give you this stat. Here's the reason why I'm saying this is Shador only needs, 118 yards to hit 3,000 yards. So he's going to hit that in this game, no doubt. He's going to be a 3,000-yard rusher or passer in this game. Travis Hunter only needs 144 yards to hit 1,000 yards receiving. Can he get 144 yards in this game? I'm going to click my pen, and I'm going to put an exclamation point there, and I'm going to make the point in the exclamation point a buffalo with horns. And there you go. So we got that one. 144 yards for Travis Hunter to get his 1,000 yards against Utah and get a little bit of revenge against those bad calls last year against Utah. What a fitting scenario. Like, what a story, guys. What a story that would be. If we can get those two guys, Hunter to 1,000 and Shador to 3,000 in this game, it would be epic. It really would be. So that is what I've got for Utah. As far as score is concerned, man, I'm really bad at scores. I think you've seen that. And everybody picks, 30-something to 20-something in every game because that's a pretty safe bet. But, we hit 40s last week. And Utah is not as good as Texas Tech. So I'm going to say that we're going to be racking up 52 points in this game. I think we're going to hit 52 points. I think Shador is going to have the game of his season. This game is going to be the game of his season. He is going to have the best game of his season this game. I don't know if it'll be the best game of his career at Colorado or not, because he had some pretty darn good games. But I do think it's going to be the game of the season for him this game. And I'm really looking forward to that. I think also Travis could have his best game too. It would be fun to watch both of them hit that mark to where they're both. This game, I don't know, guys. This game feels so good to me. It feels so good. Fox Big Noon kickoff. I like being there early. I'll probably be there at 2 a.m. like I normally am when we have early games. Just kind of plopping around campus and drinking, 42 ounces of coffee. I think is my new drink is 42 ounces. And, talking with students out there early in line. And I think it's probably going to be similar to last year with the first Big Noon kickoff where students were lined up. I got there at 3:50 in the morning. Students were already lined up out of Farrand because they have it locked so they can, get everything set up. And the line was probably a good half mile long through campus. And so we just had we had fun time doing that. And they broke the line and everybody ran, and I did a short on it. It was a lot of fun, man. It was great. And I think it's going to be like that this game as well. So let's go through some of your comments here. And I'm going to start from the back going forward and then come back up to the front. KR is in the house and he says, I think this one is low scoring. I'm usually wrong on scores of KR. I'm at the same point you are, man. I can't pick a score to save my life. And I'm glad I don't have to. That's not a part of the show. But at the same time, I do feel like with the defense that they're running and the fact that they are terrible against the pass, I want to say that they're in the 50s to 70s in every defense passing stat that I looked at, which isn't terrible. I mean, that's middle of the pack in the country. But Shador is the best quarterback, and we have some of the best receivers. So I think there's a little bit of an offset there. 2 a.m., but the students are crazy. The game starts at 10 a.m. I know, but this is a college campus. You can keep yourself busy on a college campus for 6 hours. That is no issue. When I was out there last time that early, which was last year in what game was that? I don't remember the game, but it was the last Fox Big Noon kickoff they had on campus. There were people out all night. My daughter was on campus last year. She graduated last year, and there were students out all night on campus. So 2 a.m. was like that was just getting started for them. Polo says 31-17 CU. Ernest says at Shelley R. But he's back now. Okay. And then we're going to go, Joel Klatt's going to be here. How cool is that? Yeah, Joel Klatt obviously is a CU alum and one of our endeared quarterbacks that we've had over the years. And having him here is royalty, to say the least. Among all the other, I mean, there's going to be a huge turnout for CU alums at this game. It's going to be big. Let's see. Shelly R says, hasn't Dallin been hurt? I know that Micah Welch has been hurt with a hamstring injury. That's true. I think Dallin, I don't really know this, but I think Dallin can play. I don't know that Micah is going to play. I hope Micah does. I would love to see Micah again this year. Let's see. Polo says national title only comes with a run game. Polo, you're talking my language here, but gosh, guys, I don't know. I've done a little soul searching over the past 3 days. And I've come to the conclusion that we're just not going to establish a run game this year. It's just not going to happen. And it isn't for lack of trying. I think the coaches have tried, but we are so good at the other side of the football, not the other side of the football, the other side of the offensive game, that to deny us at this point or to try to change things up this late in the game too much might be a detriment. On the other hand, we are getting into games now to where if we can get up early, we could run and establish a running game like we did in the, not last game, but the couple of games before that where we actually established the run. We could do that and practice this to where when we get to playing BYU and maybe even go to the playoffs, that we have established a run game that would keep time of possession in our favor. That is the reason why I had the rant in the last video. And I didn't want to rant, but at the same time, it's like, I really want this so bad, not only for my family and myself, but also for Coach Prime and all of the crap that he has taken over the past 2 years. I want this so bad for him and the team because they had to endure an insane amount of scrutiny compared to any other team. Any other team that's performing like they are would get love from the media, which they're starting to get a little bit more of now. But they danced on our graves last year. At 4-8, they danced all over our graves. And then we had the big turnover in the early part of the season for the portal, and then we lost our two coordinators, and it's just been one of those things that I would just love to see Coach Prime plant the Colorado flag at the national title when he's done, and basically. He's not going to cap off his career, but dang, being a Hall of Famer, best corner to ever play the game, helped my beloved Cowboys win a Super Bowl, kept my beloved Cowboys from going to a Super Bowl. But you get what I'm saying. He would be in a stratosphere even higher than he's in right now. And he's earned it. He deserves it. The coaching staff deserves it. Rick George, my goodness, deserves it. The University of Colorado deserves it because it is the best university in the country by far. There is no university that even comes close to it from a beauty and academics. When you put everything together, you just don't get better than this school. And so that's the reason why I kind of went on that rant. We hear Louis baggage or Louis luggage and all. I agree. Taj Brooks only for 130 because he kept getting the ball. If he played for CU, he wouldn't have carried that. That's true. Kumasi says, remember Alpine, I said, we have to be disciplined. The referees are not on our side. Just like I know that moron country is all about, especially when we are playing a Utah team that just lost. I agree. That was part of my rant last week, is that sometimes we have a tendency to make mistakes for penalties that actually cost us drives. And when we lose a drive, when we lose the opportunity for Shedeur to have the ball, it puts the game in question. because we don't have another way to win. Our running game is not going to win it for us, or hasn't so far. So we got to keep Shador on the field. And by doing that, we got to keep the penalties down to a minimum. And we need to keep the crazy penalties down to a minimum. We've been really good in some games and we've been really suspect in some games. But I think that at this point in the year, we're sorting those out. The coaches are seeing this and they're understanding that it gets a lot more serious every single game. The games aren't tough, but at the same time, the stakes are way higher. Like they're so high at this point that if we lose to one of the teams, and I'm not even going to say that because that would be blasphemy. I'm not going to do it. We need a run game, Polo says. The number 8 is insane because we have been playing at a C-level offense. I'm predicting a turnaround in our running game. It has to happen for any national title hopes. So Polo is pinning this on our national title hopes on the run game. And I'm saying that this is what I'll say. All right, I'm going to put the pen down for just a second because I keep clicking it. Is the whole reason why all year long we win, and then I come on and then I say something like, we won and I'm really excited, and then I put a but in there. And then I say, but our running game sucked. And the reason why I do that is because, I'm rooting, cheering. I love CU. I want this to happen, right? If we win the national title with a 20-yard run game, I'm good. Everybody's going to be good. Everybody, including Coach Prime and everybody else, is going to be good if we do that. My question though is that when we get into these really serious games, the run, not having a run game is 100% going to make things really hard on us. But even better than that is having a good run game, having a decent run game, having a run game that we could get 130 to 150 on the ground, which is not, world beating, but solid, right? We stand an immense chance of running the table and winning a national title. And why do I say that? Because we have a great defense. We already do. We know this, and it's getting better every game. I think this is going to be one of the best defenses coming out of the season. If you take the first 4 games off the plate and you just look at the last group of or even the first 3 and look at the rest of the games, we have been playing on a defense better and better every single game. You get later. How many teams are doing that where they're playing better football later in the year, right? Well, we are. This team is, right? Especially on defense. So defense, I am not worried about. Take the defense, push it over to the side for just a second, because I have 0 things to say about our defense. They are doing everything they can possibly do, and we are rotating people out. Our team, our what are you saying? Our revolving players are just as good as our starters are, and they're showing a lot of moxie. They're becoming very handsy with the ball, and we're getting the ball a lot on defense. So we're good there. Our offense with the passing game, we couldn't have better receivers, and we have Travis Hunter. I mean, we have all of these great. Shepard showed up in the last game, huge. So the passing game, no problem. We have the best passing game in the country, number 8, but you know what I mean. We are the best passing game, best quarterback. Let's shove that up to the top. Golden on that. What is left out of all of this? Special teams and its running game. Special teams has lost us games in the past, just because we just weren't organized. And the running game, I don't know if the running game has lost us games, but the running game hasn't helped us win a lot of games from that standpoint, except for the middle of the year. But we're way better than we were. Like, we are so much better than we were. And the offensive line, I have no questions about the offensive line. I'm going to put that up there with Shador and the passing game, is I think they're doing a fantastic job. It comes down to designing running plays that will allow us to use the talent that we have to the best that we can do. And so let's narrow that down a little bit more. That's formations, right? That's formations and creativity in the play. We need more power. I think, in my opinion, we need more power in the run game, which means we need to change to probably 11, 12, 13 personnel, or even 21 personnel, something like that. Something where there are multiple blockers in our set, and give Shador a rest. Have the offensive line have fun and giddy up over a whole bunch of people and just smash people into the ground. And I honestly think that's going to change our tides. So when you're talking about a national title run, I agree with Polo completely that I will say this. I think we can win a national championship now, this late in the season, looking at them just on the pure grit of Shador and Travis and the offensive line and our defense and all of the key things that are going on. I think that we could. It could be possible. It would be very hard, but it could be possible. But if we get this run game going and we get it going to sustain drives and we do it to hold on to the clock and we do it to finish games, then I think that there is nobody in the nation that can beat us. No one can beat us if we have that going for us. It's not going to happen. It's going to be, I don't know, man, we're gonna look back at this. If we can do this, we're gonna look back at this, and it's just gonna be like the biggest turnaround in a football team from beginning to end in a single year, maybe in college football history. Who knows? But when you're talking about the individual parts of the team and how they're playing. So defense started out not very good. Now the defense is lights out, right? Passing game has always been there. Offensive line started out a little weak, but now it's stellar, right? Run game is getting better too. Running game is getting better. It fell a little bit last week, but it's getting better. Special teams is getting better. Special teams is getting better. Man, like my fingers are tingling right now that we're talking about this because it is so exciting to talk about. So let's look at a few more. Let's see. Paulo says, as soon as Coach Prime mentions he is looking for those running back dogs, it's on. With a couple of O-line additions, Juju at quarterback, finally some 5-star safeties from the transfer portal, it's a wrap. So, Polo, you're predicting that this is going to continue to build and we're building a program, right? That's coming in a future episode. It is Coach Prime building a program. And what you're saying right there is the fact that 100% he is. We're going to lose players. We're going to lose good players over time, especially with the transfer portal. But the program will keep those really good players coming in, and we're able to replace them and keep going and keep moving and keep the Colorado tradition of winning, which is now becoming a thing, right? In place. And that's building it. That was a really good analogy. If Mr. L does not sign, I'm good. I have the utmost confidence in a guy that's on our bench being mad overlooked. QB number 22. That's where my money is. Can't wait until spring. I think you're right. I want to say is 22, I think is Dominic Ponder. And I agree with that. I don't think it's just him. I think there's probably 3 guys on our bench that could really lead this team if given the right opportunity and if given the right coaching. I think that they could. And remember, Staub is still here too, and Staub played very well against Utah last year. Just basically showing up for one game, which is hard. I mean, you don't get in a rhythm, and he had to come in and do it cold, and he had to do it on the road. So yeah, I think our bench in general is really good. Ernest says we have a good passing game. We just have to learn. I agree. It is what it is, says CU is building a dynasty. And you said mock my words, but I know you meant mark my words. And I agree with you. We have a good passing game. We just have to learn how to score early and put the game out early. Yes. So last week was a little tough for us, right? We got out to, I think it was a 13-0 run or something like that we were behind by that much. And it looked bleak because neither offense or defense was playing well. But then somebody just stood up. Coach Prime stood up and, flipped the switch, and everything just fell into place. So it wasn't a pretty win, but it was a win. And we did the things that we needed to do. And the defense came in, and the defense just shut them down in the last game. It was so good to watch. Let's see. Yeah, it's Ponder. TWB, you're right. Staub is 16, I think. That's correct. So let's see. Shermer is still suspect calling plays, says Darren. Let's get into that for just a second. I can't tell if it's Shermer's calling the plays or if it's Shador maybe thinking he's seeing something different on the line and calling plays at the line. So, that said, it doesn't really matter because those two run in lockstep. If one calls a play that really works well, the other one gets the credit for it. If Shador changes that play and it works out well, they both get credit for it. If Shador changes the play and it doesn't work out well, Shermer gets the blame. So it's like it really doesn't really matter, because if the play is called by the OC and not changed, or the play is called by the OC and is changed, they both win or lose on that decision. And they both think very much alike. And you hear Coach Prime talk about all the time how Pat and Shador are very like-minded. And that's why we're winning games. We're winning games because we have the best quarterback in college football. We have the best receivers in college football. The OC and the QB have a very distinct understanding of how they want to win the game. And regardless of whatever else happens and something falls apart, penalties happen, or the run game doesn't get established or something like that, they always seem to link up and figure it out. And that is what has got us this far. So is he suspect calling plays, I guess was the question. Probably. The only reason why I say that is because part of calling the play is the formation that you're in. And when we're running the ball, we're not in a running the ball formation, meaning that we're not in a power style formation to where we have leverage in the blocking end of it. That's the only reason why I say that. Lots of teams run out of 10 personnel and do a really good job of it. So, it might just be execution. Who knows? The Wade brother is getting healthy. That is true. Yes. Can use more variety in the run game, Darren says. So Darren's still touting this run, and I am too. I brought this up in the rant a few days ago, is that I love the fact that we win games, and I love the fact that in some of the games we have had a really good running game. But what I really would like to see, and I say I'm not talking about like my ego wants to see this. What I'm saying is going forward and potentially being in the playoffs, definitely being in the Big 12 championship, if we can win these out, we need to establish the run game. And to do that, we need to be creative in the run game. We need to change our formations up a little bit, and then we need to be creative in the run game. And if we can do that, we have the meat. I mean, Isaiah is a freaking stud, man. He is such a big dude too. He's like super light on his feet. And I love watching him run. If we could give him a little bit more space with blocking, extra blockers is what I mean, then I think he is off to the races at that point. He could break a 30 or 40 yarder against Utah if we can get that part of it right. So I agree with that. KR says at least Cash is starting this week. No messed up snaps. Yes, Cash is a superstar. He is a superstar now. His name is all over the place. And when you have a name like Cash and you hit the airwaves like that, man, that's money. Cash is literally money at this point. So that's what we're going to say. And good for him. It seems like a good dude. Like all of our players, like who on our team stands out as like a jerk, right? Who stands out as a person that's not a team-oriented person? Nobody does. The culture at CU right now is Coach Prime wants everybody to get their spotlight. And so far, a lot of people have gotten their spotlight. Like even people that don't play much, like Cash, coming in just basically off the bench and coming in there. Now he is an absolute superstar. National publications are writing about him, and national TV shows are talking about him. His name is everywhere, right? That's Coach Prime effect right there. Coach Prime and Phil Lowholt effect. Coach Prime and Phil Lowholt. Shador recognizes what he sees and calls the audible. That is correct. Jennifer said Cash is the best. That's great. Love Cash. Everybody loves Cash. I think Ryan Staub will be QB number 1. Is this Prime Overflow? Are you talking about for next year? That would be interesting. That would mean that we lose Juju, and then Staub beats out Ponder and all the other guys. That would be an interesting. What would I be afraid of that? I don't know at this point. I've been a Staub fan ever since he came to CU. I like the way when you see him in the well-off videos and stuff like that, I like his demeanor around the team. He came to the team potentially wanting to start, and he has been in a backup role and really enjoying it. And I think being a good team member, and the one opportunity that he had, he came out and he showed some good stuff. So, hey, Aaron is in the house. Hey, Aaron. Ron says is Prime pissed that it's a 10 o'clock start? I don't know. Some reason it tells me I think that Prime probably prefers an early start versus a really late game because he's always talked about how he's an early riser. He's a 4 o'clock guy. And so I think, getting his team in there, getting them pumped up, getting them fired up, and getting this game wrapped and getting everybody home, I think is a big deal to him. Look at God work. You go Cash, says Polo. He's very happy. Ron said that with Romy. I'll bet he is. I bet he's just lit. I forgot Micah hurt, injured. CP said something about him. That's true. Hey, David, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat. David Talks Broncos. David, you've got so many channels, man. I can't even keep up with you. You're doing great. You are my inspiration, brother. Let's see. Kyron Jones should transfer to Colorado. Select QB coach could stay to help him coach. There would be something there. I mean, Juju, I honestly feel like with all of this mention of Juju commitment flipping and all of the what are we going to call them? I don't even remember what it's called, but anyway, having people in the national media say that he is destined to come here essentially, and that they believe he's going to come here, a commitment. I believe that he's going to be here, but if he doesn't, there are lots of quarterbacks out there that are very good, very, very good 4 and 5 star quarterbacks that are on other teams that would love to come here, I'm sure. So we will be there. Plus we have good guys that are on our bench right now. So Jennifer says, the team is on one accord, and it's great to see everyone is rooting for each other and the coaches, players, and AD Rick George. It's a fun environment, guys. I can't tell you, if you're not down here with this, it is a super fun environment. Transforming is here. He says, good morning, Boulder. I heard Georgia might give Juju a huge NIL deal. They can probably do that. Georgia's got the money to do that. It'll be fun to see if Juju falls for that. Because look at Georgia this year. I mean, I don't even know if they're going to be playing in the playoff. They may be, but they may not be. Who knows? Let's say it is what it is. Let me go back to that one. Says 10 o'clock is a great time. It's usually when they practice. Right. So they're already in the routine there. What are your thoughts about running back Hayden? Darren says, I love Dallin Hayden. Our running game is not it's not the O-line's fault. It's not Shadur's fault. And it's not the running back's fault. It's really nobody's fault. I don't think probably we practice that as a priority. We don't get super creative in it because we don't practice that as a priority. Plus we are always probably in an RPO setup. We're probably always wanting the RPO to be the run pass option to be pass heavy. And that the run is like a check down that we're going to do if like all of the moons align and it looks like we can run the ball, we'll run that ball. I think that's probably what causes it more than anything. Well, guys, I got to get out of here. I very much appreciate everybody being on this. I'm going to get one in here from Uncle Tub. Juju isn't going to Athens. No idea. He is going with a friend and family just to have fun. I read that too. I read he has a bunch of people down there that he knows. And that's kind of what his trip to Georgia is all about. But we will see. I mean, you never know. So many weird things happen over time that we think that, Coleman and McLean coming to Colorado last year, I was freaking out, man. I thought we have a lockdown corner coming to be coached by a lockdown corner. And we're going to have, this guy on our team for 3 years, and then he's going to get drafted number 1 in the NFL. And then we saw what happened there. I'm glad to see that he's on a rise now at Florida. And that's just really awesome to see because I really like that guy. Even after all of the other crap that's been going on, I don't even know why I brought this up at the end, but it was in the comments and for whatever reason, it popped up in my head. So I want to say thank you very much to everybody out there. If you haven't already hit that like button, please do. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would greatly appreciate it. We're going to be live a lot. I'm coming live tomorrow. It'll be tomorrow morning, probably about the same time, probably about 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And I will give you kind of an outline of what I'm going to be doing on Saturday so you guys can follow me if you want to. And that is what I've got to say. I hope you see you guys in the next video. Go Buffs. We are headed to the Big 12 Championship. We just got to win out. And then on to the playoffs and on to a national title for the second time at the University of Colorado.